Hey folks, how's it going? Steve Lundgren here from StreetSmart, and I'm here with Nate Streeter. We're doing a continuation of a previous series that we had that's titled, and still titled, How Much Should I Be Spending on Marketing? So it's a frequently asked question that we've dealt with. The previous ones that we did really dealt with sort of the theoretical aspects of that. So we wanted to come back with a follow-up and do something that's real practical. So how you doing today, Nate?
Good. I was just laughing because you said Street Mart, and I was just thinking, maybe are you thinking that we're going to be getting into a different business here? And
Yeah, we're really going retail, yeah, with our online. So on this subject, we want to organize this a certain way. We've got a first slide up here.
Yeah.
We're going to do examples, but these businesses are kind of segments are so different than one another that we're going to want to separate these and give examples of specific things. So really we've got home services, retail, and personal services, and we're going to take a different look at each one of those. So why don't we talk about these? So when we say home services, we're talking about like painters, lawn care, cleaners.
Yep.
For retail, we're looking at location sort of based things like furniture, auto, hair care, like salons. For personal services, we're looking for things like a church, dentist, schools.
Yeah, and I think the big difference there is a home services, you work on people's homes or in their homes.
Right.
Retail, you have people that could just walk in and buy your product or service.
Right.
Personal service, generally speaking, they don't just walk in and buy your service. They're either kind of more of a member, or they make an appointment.
It's not casual.
Right, or or like a school, it's a student who's enrolled.
Right.
Yeah, so those are good. It's a more of a distinction there.
Right.
And so, but interestingly, I think what we're going to show you is, as different as these people are in the way they think about new clients, in some ways they're not that much different, and I think that's part of what we'll show today, hopefully.
Sort of the bottom line ends up at the same place.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, I think, and that's one of the things that we've tried to explain so many times, and hopefully this will be more of the practical and less of the theoretical, like you said, Steve. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, let's jump into it here.
Okay, so let's use what we kind of did was we wanted to just use an example of a client. We're not going to say names or anything here, but these are based on real examples, just so you guys know. And this particular one is a lawn care company. Okay.
All right.
So they're a home service business. This should be very applicable to most everybody who's a lawn care, who's a home service business.
Yeah.
So, these numbers, we work with a lot of different kinds of home service businesses. You guys have all a little different as far as some of these different things, but the reality is kind of the construct is very similar in our experience.
Yeah. So is your example sort of a rule of thumb sort of thing, or specific to one company? Or
it's specific to one company, but I think you can use it as a rule of thumb.
Okay, good place to start.
Right. So what we've got is, we've got a lawn care company. I'm just going to kind of start typing stuff in. So we've got a $5,000 ad spend. Okay. So that's where we're going to start.
All right.
And what that ad spend generated was 90 calls. Okay. So in their specific business, they have about a 60% kill ratio. Now, what kill ratio means is, of those 90 people that called, 54 actually turned into customers. Now, some of you guys might say, "Holy crap! I have way higher than that, or I have way lower than that." Well, I think Steve and I have talked about this a lot of times. In fact, I can think of a few clients I've talked to even this year where their kill ratios are so terrible that I get frustrated. It's like, look, we just spent $5,000 to get you 90 calls. If you're only killing 20% of them, that's not my fault. That's likely your fault.
Yeah, flyers don't work.
Or the online clicks don't work, or whatever. They're just doing a terrible job of killing them. Now, sometimes the leads might be bad. I get that, but we always want to evaluate that.
Right.
But your kill ratio is huge. So 54, and then lawn care, they're not huge referral business. So we added 2 with the referrals. So, then we're at 56. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 56 clients. We spent $5,000. Now in lawn care, their average lifetime value, we're going to factor at $1,200. This, I went back through my notes. The lawn care industry is all over the place. Some of you guys are super good at upselling. You sell all kinds of extra services. Some of you really just focus on on cutting lawns.
Right.
Some of you do snow removal. You know, that can add $300, $400, $500 a year.
Yeah.
So this may be low for some of you. So, you know, again, take this all with a grain of salt. But, you know, I'm factoring in $1,200, and then again, we're only going to look at 1 year. I know that most of you keep your lawn care customers. Your attrition rates aren't too terrible. I see anywhere from 10 to 30%, but you know, we're just going to factor in your attrition, but also people will stay with you for a long time.
Right.
So sometimes people ask us, well, how long do you want to go? And you know, some of your marketing guys are going to say, well, you know, particularly, let's say you're some of these other examples we're going to look at, you might have really long lifetime values. Like people would stick around forever, basically, unless they moved or something.
Wow.
But I think Steve and I would agree, don't look at more than a year or two. Who knows what's going to happen beyond that?
Something's going to change in a 2-year period.
Yeah.
Having to do with them or with the market.
Yeah, you know, we very rarely go over 2 years, and I like to go a year if I can. I want your marketing to make sense that, you know, in a year, within a year.
Right.
So lifetime value, I'm only looking at 1 year here. And so, you know, we take that 54 clients, or 56 rather, we times that times 1,200. You can probably hear my calculator here. And so we end up with 67,200 is the ROI from this $5,000 ad spend. And so we're just going to take that $5,000, divide it by 67.2, and you've got about 7.4%. So, you know, let's just call it 7.5 because I like round numbers.
Right.
So you spent 7.5% of your gross, you know, revenue on marketing in this case. And, you know, we factored in referrals, we factored in kill ratios. I realize our attrition rates, we kind of try, you know, we try to kind of sneak those into the lifetime values to not make this so complicated.
Right.
Steve and I talked about it. It's like, gosh, we don't want to be, you know, spending hours on this. So, but if you're in a business where attrition rates are really complex, that could be a separate line item if you needed it to be.
Right.
So, you know, we definitely have some businesses I can think of right off the top of my head that have really complicated attrition rates. They're either really high or really low, and so you want to factor that in. But you can see now, if for some of you that number is like, wow, I'll take that every day of the week. If I could spend 7.5%, you know, and then some of you I meet with, and you fall off your chair. You say, gosh, if I'm only going to get that much, forget it. You know, that's all my margin. And that could be a big problem for you, you know, depending on where you're at. My experience is more mature businesses, they love numbers like this. They will take this every day of the week. Less mature businesses, they just haven't built a structure where they really have enough, you know, budgeted for marketing. And so,
if you want to grow, you need to anticipate this or more.
Right. Let's go to a whole different side, retail.
Yeah, there we go.
So you guys are a whole different ball of wax. Obviously, no one calls. Everybody comes in. Coupons are huge. Particularly, we're going to use salon as an example. But my experience is most of my retailers, they like to use coupons and different things that way. So let's use a real example, just like we did. Okay, so I pulled up a real example. We've got an ad spend of $1,256. It brought in 76 new clients, which again, in this industry, that's very important. Brought in several hundred total clients. We don't care about total clients. They were already in the bag. That's the one thing you have to realize with retail is sometimes, you know, a lot of your marketing, you're going to bring in current clients, not just new clients, right? So,
who's new? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is 76 new clients. Now, one thing I want to factor in, and I know a lot of you guys are doing it, if you're giving away really generous offers, you may need to factor that into your ad spend. So if it brought in 200 clients and on average you lost $4 per client or something, that's going to be an additional $800 worth of ad spend. That's a fantastic way to think about that, because they likely were going to come into your salon anyway, but because of the coupon you lost $4. Do you get where I'm going with that, Steve?
Yeah, how much are you giving away on your offer? Yeah.
Right. So so factor that in. So don't, you know, I realize that, you know, and when you start talking about things like a Groupon or something, we're not using that as an example, but that's a fantastic way to figure out something for like a Groupon for your cost there. Because if you have current clients that are using a Groupon, that's a substantial cost to you because it's taking away revenue.
Right.
So, okay, so 76 new clients. and we've got a kill ratio of only 50%. And the way we think about kill ratios, like with a salon, is how many of those people are coming back. So that's really the way that we factor that. So we've got 38.
So in this scenario, 50% of them came in with a coupon and never returned.
Right. And now, is that completely wasted? Probably not. I bet over the next year or so, you're going to have some of those people come back. And, it's never that clean, right? Nothing's ever that clean. That's why often we say, if you think your marketing worked pretty good after 6 weeks, I bet after 6 months you're going to think, dang, that was really, really good. Well, that's partly why.
It takes a while, yeah.
You've got things like this that fall through the cracks that generally... I think of a client right now, he gets dozens of calls a week that come in from past marketing that he's done in years past.
Right.
He's still getting return. Yeah, he's still getting return on that. But, we've got 38 clients, and they're in a fairly high referral business.
Right.
So let's say 20%. So we're going to add another 7 clients there. So we've got 45 total clients. So let's just equal this out. 45 total clients off this $1,200. Okay, and then lifetime value. So again, this is just like lawn care. You guys all have different businesses, so I'm just going to use an example here. I realize some salons your average spend is $80. Some of the salons the average spend is $20.
Yeah.
It's really all different. And how many times people come in per year and how many extra products they bring. I know it's all over the place.
Right.
I can't answer this question for everyone. I'm going to use this as an example. So if they come in 6 times a year at $35 each, and then again in the salon industry, lifetime values are very high. People, as long as they don't move and you don't screw something up, they'll stick around. So we go 6 times a year times $35 times 2 years. So your lifetime value is about $400. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take that. Okay, so we got 40.
That's per year, right?
Right. No, total over 2 years.
Over 2 years. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty low in this business. A lot of you guys are going to be much higher than this. But this particular salon that I'm talking about with the 1256, 76, they actually are a lower end. So this is probably not too bad.
Okay.
So we've got 45 clients times $400. So we've got $18,000 worth of value that we brought.
Right.
So the ROI is $18,000. And so we're going to take that first number, 1,256, divide that by 18,000, and we've got about 7%. 7% of their growth. So interestingly, that's not much different. Going back to where we were at with the lawn care, they spent 7.5.
Interesting.
And when we go through all these numbers here, we get to not that much different.
Yeah.
And so if you ask me, people say, well, Nate, what kind of response rate should I expect from direct mail? I've heard 1%, or whatever, And okay, it's not quite that simple, right? Because we got 76 clients here on a $1,200. We got 90, responses here on a 5,000.
Right.
You can't just do it that quickly and easily. You got to go through this and figure it out. But if you're going to really push me, I would say most clients I work with are going to be in that 5 to 15% range.
Right.
I have some that are much higher than that. I know you guys are about to fall off your chair, but yeah, some do spend, all right, sorry about that little pause. Steve was having a
coughing fit.
Yeah, and he doesn't even smoke or anything, so.
Yeah, can't blame him on that.
All right, so all this just to say, there's a lot of factors, and one of the things, if you're a brand new business, you're just starting out, you're probably going to have to spend higher, because no one knows about you. And, if you've been around for a while, these numbers might even be too high. I mean, I've seen you guys are getting some incredible return on investments with different things.
Right.
So
it's kind of like getting a plane off the ground when you got a new business.
Yeah.
Think of all the fuel that a jet takes to get off the ground.
Right.
Then that's
Yep. So, okay, going back, so interestingly, we went through all this. Okay, they're very similar. Okay, let's get into another one, personal services. And again, lots of variety here. So let's go through an example.
So here's the one we can really get our teeth into.
Yeah, so dentist buys 200 clicks, and at $20 a click. All right, and so they're spending $4,000. All right, and so actually I answered the second one. They got 200 clicks. Sorry. But their kill ratio, I mean, you guys know who do a lot of online advertising, is pretty low. Yeah. So really they're getting 10%, which would probably be pretty good. But we built the website and it's killer, so we're getting 10%.
There we go.
So they get 20 leads out of this. All right, and they have a 10% referral rate, so they add 2 more leads. So we're gonna equal out to 22 leads. Okay. Now, I realize with you dentists, same thing as what we talked about before. Lifetime value, holy smoly, it's all over the place. If you have a very much older group of people that come to your dentistry, they spend more. Kids, there's just so many factors. Do you do a lot of cosmetic? Do you do, there's just a lot of factors. So we're going to look at $2,400. That looked like, from when Steve and I look back at the numbers, that was kind of a medium for 1 to 2 years worth of dentistry. Right. Some of you, it's going to be much, much higher than that. I don't think very many of you will be much lower than that.
Depends on your client type a bit.
Yep.
So we want to say 20 customers and 22 customers rather
than
leads?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, yep. Because we're actually past leads now. Thanks, Steve.
Sure.
All right, so they got 22 total customers. The lifetime value is $2,400. So we just take that 22 times 2,400. Gosh, you guys didn't know we were going to do so much math here, probably.
Yeah, it's like math class.
Steve's probably going to kill me here any second now. $52,800 is the ROI. And so we just go back again. Okay, we spent $4,000, right? And we got $52,800 out of it. Yeah. So again, that's about 7.5%.
Wow.
So you can see, it's interesting because we just took 3 examples out of our social proof, and took them out of our hat, and you can see actually there's kind of a theme here. A lot of our customers are getting in that range, and again, like I said before, if you put me into a corner, I'd say 5 to 15%. I'm not going to give you, as far as a return on investment.
Right.
I'm not going to say percentage, of clicks or percentage of direct mail or anything like that. I'm going to look more of in terms of return on investment. And you can see actually a lot of these examples are very close to each other. So,
and these are pretty good numbers because we're looking at, especially that kill ratios. That's a big one to affect.
Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah. And, these are assuming all things are equal. I love to analyze that with clients and see if their leads are all equal, Yeah. And usually we do find big disparities. And so that's fairly easy to assess, though, particularly if you're doing a lot of tracking with calls and stuff. You can figure it out.
So if people aren't seeing these kind of numbers, this is something we could help them with.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing is you want to set up systems that track everything, because otherwise you just don't know.
Right.
And, you might say, I don't need that. I've got a small business. Well, unless you want to be small forever, you're going to need to do this. Yeah. Not only that, how smart are you? I guess that's one question, because the difference of 1 percentage point here is huge.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if you think you're that smart, if you're little over 1% off, you're 15% different. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So are you that good in your brain to keep track of everything? I doubt it. So, and usually what happens is we have big surprises when we start tracking stuff. And so, but this should help you guys answer some questions specifically. If you're a home service business, retail, or personal service, hopefully this little thing that we did today will help you kind of understand how much you should be spending on marketing, how much successful businesses, what they're doing, and how they're building their business.
Back to the airplane analogy. I mean, if you've got somebody that's got a bearing that they've set for an airplane to fly, if they don't take into consideration crosswinds and some of these things, they can end up way, way off at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if they've got the same bearings.
Well, and you guys, to say what my kids say, some of you guys are cray-cray. You come to me or to StreetSmart, and you say, okay, I'm starting a new business and I've got $4,000 and I have no customers. Well, the fact that you have $4,000 has absolutely nothing to do with how what your needs are.
Yeah,
it drives me crazy. You just developed this budget based on nothing, based on what money you had, not based on what you need.
Yeah.
So, in fact, there's one franchise right now that we're working a lot with. They have a mandatory $20,000,
Is to the franchise?
Yeah, to start for all their grand openings, and they require that money from their franchisees, and then they basically put it in escrow. They let them use it, somewhat to what they want.
Right.
But that tells you that, like that plane analogy, it can take a lot of fuel sometimes to get going too.
Right.
So forget these 7.5%. I guess what I'm saying is, if you're in a grand opening scenario, you might want to think completely different than this.
Right.
But
this is more of an ongoing
these
business.
are all customers that have been in business for some time and
Yeah.
are spending money regularly on marketing.
Yeah.
If you're in a grand opening scenario, oh man, you better think differently.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Well, that was our fourth example. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought we had one more to go.
No,
but
that was it. That was it.
Okay, great. So what's next? Here's how you can help us. If you like this presentation, please leave a review, comment, or a Twitter mention. Another thing you do is share this video with someone else who you think could use it. And if you have some ideas for video topics, please contact us and let us know. If you're ready to take action now with your marketing, here's some next steps. You can give us a call at 763-280-3604 or email at, it's hard for me to read, Nate at StreetSmartAgency.com.
Yep.
The Twitter is at Nate Streeter, and we look forward to hearing from you.